Vale, creo que ya iniciamos en YouTube. Si no estoy mal, ya iniciamos. Yo saludándolo desde YouTube ni me estaban escuchando. Saluditos para la gente de YouTube. Estamos en vivo desde Trovo. Allí inicié directo hace ya como 10 minutos. Y allí voy a estar leyendo el chat. ¿Cómo andan, chicos? Recuerden dejar su like los que andan en YouTube, compartir con sus amigos, díganlo los que andan en Free Fire que se pasen para el Apex, que ya dejen ese juego. No sé qué le ven al Free Fire, no, mentiras. A mí personalmente no me gusta. Puede que los que tengan un dispositivo gama baja ya pues no les toque de otra que jugar Free Fire, pero pues bueno, el Apex Mobile esperemos lo adapten para dispositivos gama media, gama baja. Vamos a ver, ya confirmamos que para dispositivos con 3 GB puede que corra en la mayoría. Bebetron, saluditos, bro. Saluditos a Saul, a Quinto, a Mentalic, todos los que andan en Trovo, un saludo muy especial. Los invito a los que andan en YouTube a pasarse. Descargan la aplicación de Trovo o desde la computadora, si están en computadora también funciona. Con esta musiquita me dan ganas nomás de tomarme así un juguito de mandarina y relajarme. Bueno, para los de YouTube y ponerlos en contexto, ya esto lo había explicado a los de Trovo, pero repito, esta es una conferencia que hace Electronic Arts trimestralmente. Es de ganancias, es una conferencia de ganancias. Se supone que están de un lado de la llamada inversores y periodistas. Inversores de Electronic Arts, supongo. Y del otro lado están representantes del área financiera de EA Games, de Electronic Arts. Y pues van a responder preguntas, a informar estado de cómo fueron las ganancias de la empresa en los últimos 3 o en los últimos meses. Y hablan también del futuro, de cómo van a ser las ganancias de los futuros meses. Y eso incluye futuros lanzamientos. Puede que hablen un poco de futuros lanzamientos como del Battlefield Mobile, del Apex Legends Mobile, pero también puede que no hablen de absolutamente nada, así que no nos decepcionemos si no dicen nada. Esperemos que sí. La pasada llamada, que fue en noviembre, sí hablaron algo. Alguien preguntó sobre el Apex Legends Mobile y pues ellos les tocó responder, porque alguien de los que pone la plata, el dinero, les preguntó: hey, ¿qué pasa con el Apex Mobile? Y nada, tienen que responder porque ellos son los que ponen el billete. Y por eso, esperemos que alguno de esos inversores pues esté interesado en el Apex Mobile, que les vaya a dar platica. Y pregunte: hey, ¿cuándo me vas a lanzar el juego, perro? Dame una fecha, no, mentiras. Pero sí, esperemos que nos den un estimado, que nos digan: va a salir la última semana de febrero, o la primera semana de marzo, o dentro del transcurso de febrero. Que nos digan algo para estar un poquito más preparados. HTL Bank, Rapunzel dice: dejen su follow. Sí, así es, papu, dejen su follow los que andan en Trovo y que no han seguido el canal en Trovo. Ahí hacemos directos casi diarios, aunque no sea de Apex Mobile porque todavía no se puede, pero estamos haciendo directos ahí por si quieren verme manquear, hablar un rato mientras no estoy concentrado. Igual en YouTube voy a hacer directos, ¿vale? Pero recuerden que los directos en Trovo son de mayor calidad. Lo pueden ver a 1080 con mejor calidad, con menos retraso. Y pues le voy a dar prioridad al chat de Trovo, pues porque... ¿Quién compró la risa de Ibai? Esperen, voy a quitar los audios porque me quitan la inspiración. Voy a quitar los audios. Me están quitando la inspiración, perros. Espérenme. Ya está, no se gasten los puntos porque no van a salir, ¿va? Y bueno, y en Trovo también pueden acumular puntos, ¿eh? Pueden, por ejemplo, con 10.000 puntos canjear por un pase de batalla del Apex Mobile. Aquel que de pronto vea mucho rato los directos puede pues cambiarlo por un pase de batalla. O por sonidos, esos sonidos que me acaban de poner ahí, que no me dejan concentrarme, pues esos también los compran con puntos del canal, del directo. Bienvenido, Jeremy. Bienvenidos a todos los que andan nuevos ahí en Trovo. Y se agradece un montón a los que se pasan desde YouTube para Trovo, ¿vale? Esta cosa... A ver, ya faltan 5 minutos. Se supone que inicia a las 5 p.m. Vamos a ver si son puntuales. Ya se acabó la canción. A ver si inician después de la canción. A la mierda, pusieron otra. Ojo, Jeremy. Muchas gracias, Jeremy. Bienvenido, Paco. A ver qué dicen en YouTube, la gente de YouTube. Hamete Tuasai, dice David. Saludos, Dragón Sandía. Christopher, dice Onichan. Saludos, Selfic. Saludos, Alfredo Romero. Yo soy Marco Armando David. Luigi LOL. Hey, Luigi, ¿qué pasa que no te has bajado Trovo? ¿Qué pasa, papu? ¿No me sigues en Trovo? Saludos a Monche, a José, a David FF, de Flash. Saludos a Cross en Trovo. Y bueno, a ver, mientras esto inicia, voy a chismosear el tráiler por si no lo han visto, el tráiler de la nueva temporada de Apex Legends, el original, el de consola. Vamos a buscarlo por acá. YouTube Apex Legends. Se llama Defiance o Resistencia, creo que traduce. Vale. Voy a dejar esto por acá por si... Bueno, vamos a dejar eso prendido. ¿Cuál era? Este. Por si comienzan a hablar, pues pausamos el tráiler y de una nos pasamos a la llamada, ¿vale? Esa es la nueva personaje, la nueva leyenda, ¿eh? Se llama Maggie, creo.
And so are we. Welcome to Control, an entirely new way to enjoy the Apex games. The rules are simple. 2 teams of 9 compete. Legends gain.
Ah, este es el nuevo modo. Es como una especie de domination de Call of Duty. Tienen que controlar como que una zona y es un 9 contra 9. Está bacano por lo que vi. Pon el de Maggie, ese polarcito lo pusimos ayer ya, Polar. Te lo perdiste.
Cheer for your favorite legends as they battle for control of spectacular locations across the Outlands.
What can I say? I love what I do.
The longer they hold
Ala, yo ni he cambiado el título del directo en Trovo, pero vamos a cambiarlo.
Why should death be the end of the road? In Control, it's nothing more than a speed bump.
Watch out! Here I come, brother.
Get back in there, slugger.
Congratulations.
Whether you're discovering miracle cures,
Let's have fun, friend.
or battling enemy legends, teamwork is imperative. With bigger teams than ever before, follow the tunnel. The
Y la
legends will
categoría
have to
cambió.
find
Sí,
new
¿qué
ways
pasa?
to get the best out of their squad.
Baila y eso.
And if a legend's performance makes the fans happy, we'll make that legend happy with our all-new Ratings Leader title. Great job, Seer.
Saludos a Cruz LC78 que anda en Trovo. Un saludito, bro. Muchas gracias por pasarte a Trovo. Te lo agradezco un montón. Vamos a ver quién más se pasa de YouTube para Trovo. Dice Valorant. Lo acabo de cambiar, Rapo. Confírmeme porfa si ya se cambió la categoría y el título. Si no, recarguen, yo que sé.
War criminal Mad Maggie has been humanely sentenced to die in the Apex games.
Yo vengo de YouTube, dice Reynold. Bienvenido, Reynold.
But Maggie is
Bienvenido,
no
papu.
easy prey.
Bienvenido, Oscar.
What she
Bienvenido,
lacks in empathy
Galvez.
and
Saludos, Galvez.
human decency.
Yo me
She
conozco a los que
makes up
son
for it,
vieja
stuck
escuela
in
de Trovo, no se
ferocity.
preocupen. De Trovo y de Vigo.
And while her impotent rage is merely delaying the inevitable, it's sure to keep us all entertained.
Bueno, ya son las 5.
I will be your content operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the
Comenzó.
Electronic Arts Q3 2022
No escucho.
Earnings Conference Call. Mr. Chris Evan Zen, VP of Investor Relations, you may begin your conference.
Thank you, Nika. Welcome to EA's third quarter fiscal 2022 earnings call. With me on the call are Andrew Wilson, our CEO, and Blake Jorgensen, our CFO. Please note that our SEC filings and our earnings release are available at ir.ea.com. In addition, we have posted detailed earnings slides to accompany our prepared remarks. And lastly, after the call, we will post our prepared remarks, an audio replay of this call, our financial model, and a transcript. With regards to our calendar, our Q4 fiscal 2022 earnings call is scheduled for Tuesday, May the 10th. And as a reminder, we post the schedule of our entire fiscal
Se buguearon los subtítulos. Valió.
on our website. This presentation and our comments include forward-looking statements regarding future events and the future financial performance of the company. Actual events and results may differ materially from our expectations. We refer you to our most recent Form 10-Q for a discussion of risks that could cause actual results to differ materially from those discussed today. Electronic Arts makes these statements as of today, February 1st, 2022, and disclaims any duty to update. During this call, the financial metrics, with the exception of free cash flow, will be presented on a GAAP basis. All comparisons made in the course of this call are against the same period in the prior year, unless otherwise stated.
Todavía no dicen nada de Apps Mobile, no se preocupen. Yo les aviso cuando digan algo relevante de Apps Mobile.
Families and loved ones are staying healthy. Let me first say thank you to our talented teams at Electronic Arts. All 12,000 people putting so much energy every day into doing amazing things for our players. As we begin, I'd also like to say a few words about John Madden. John's passing was a tremendous loss to the American football community, for the sports world at large, and for all of us at Electronic Arts. Through his years as a winning coach, as a beloved broadcaster, and as the pioneering namesake of our game, Coach Madden was football for tens of millions of fans. He taught us many things over nearly 35 years of partnership. Some of his most important lessons, including authenticity, are things we've held close to EA Sports ever since. We feel incredibly fortunate to have been part of Coach's legacy, and just as fortunate to be part of how it will live on through the future of our Madden NFL games. We'll have more to share about how we are honoring Coach Madden in the weeks ahead. And from all of us at Electronic Arts, our thoughts and sympathies continue to be with his family, friends, and many, many fans. It has been a year of outstanding growth so far in FY22.
Que es alerta, estoy tratando de mutearlas de hace rato y no he podido. Todavía no dicen nada, De Apps Mobile todavía nada.
Apex Legends, our EA Sports titles, The Sims, and more have universal appeal. And as we expand to more ways to play across more platforms and business models, we are growing our total players, engagement, net bookings, and underlying profitability. We did have a challenge in Q3 as the launch of Battlefield 2042 did not meet expectations. Battlefield 2042 was always an ambitious game, and our teams pushed to innovate across many dimensions, including
Vale, voy a mutear estas alertas a la fuerza.
Matches, new modes, new dynamic gameplay, and more. Developing this game with our teams working from home for nearly 2 years ultimately proved to be challenging. Through our process for testing and preparation, we believe the experience is ready to be put in our players' hands. We launched with strong stability. However, as more players experienced the full game, it became clear that were unanticipated.
Están hablando de Apex Legends, ¿vale? El original de...
Some of the design choices we made with the game also did not resonate with everyone in our community. We are fully committed to realizing the full potential of this game and fully committed to our Battlefield fans. We've already implemented a series of major updates to the game, and there is more to be done. Players can expect meaningful updates to continue in the weeks ahead, and we are shifting the first season of live service content to early summer as we work closely with our community to evolve and improve the core experience in Battlefield 2042. Despite Battlefield's miss against our expectations, with the strength of our business, we are continuing to deliver record growth and performance in FY22.
Me sorprende que hayan sido puntuales, iniciaron a las 5 en punto. No se preocupen porque no sepan inglés, no han dicho nada interesante. Puro bla bla ahí de gente rica.
$225 million above our original net bookings guidance for FY22. On the strength of our live services, operational discipline, and continuing digital transformation, we're reaffirming our full year expectations for underlying profitability. we expect strong growth to continue in FY23. Looking across our portfolio, we saw continuing year-over-year growth in total players, engagement, net bookings, cash flow, and underlying profitability in Q3. I'll touch on each of those.
Pura cosa aburrida de dinero, de flujos de caja, de...
Our games and experiences connect a global network that continues to scale. Over the last year, our network has grown to more than 540 million unique active accounts across more than 18 games and 25 live services, spanning all major platforms from console to PC to mobile and cloud. From an engagement standpoint, more players are spending more time in our titles. Looking across our portfolio on all platforms, we've had more than 180 million monthly active accounts on average in our games during FY22.
Voy a salir triste aquí de tantos millones que mencionan. Voy a salir deprimido.
And across our combined EA Sports portfolio, monthly active players are also growing year over year. Engagement is deepening as well, with players spending nearly 20% more time in games across our portfolio in FY22 compared to the previous year. Growth in our network and engagement continues to drive growth in our business. With our top franchises delivering strong recurring revenue, our net bookings for Q3 grew 7.4% year over year for the quarter, and the full year we project 22% growth in net bookings over last year. Performance across the business and operational discipline also continue to deliver strong cash flow and underlying profitability growth in Q3. The continued growth is anchored by proven franchises where we have a strong track record for execution. Apex Legends is now one of the biggest and most successful ongoing live services in the industry.
Acaban de decir que Apex Legends es uno de los juegos más exitosos en la industria. O sea, no dicen nada de la versión mobile todavía, no se preocupen.
FY22 is the biggest year yet for Apex. Average player investment in the game has grown significantly year over year, and we continue to expect net bookings for Apex to approach 1 billion in FY22. We are expanding to reach more players and viewers with new original content on the way. Our growing Apex Legends esports ecosystem and Apex Legends Mobile will soon be moving into
Apex Mobile
as we continue our worldwide rollout. We've had strong engagement and community feedback during closed beta testing, and we're excited for more players to experience Apex Legends Mobile soon. Mobile is a core growth engine,
Espérenme.
and it is accelerating. With new launches and
Ya les digo lo que acaban de decir.
technologies leveraged across our portfolio, we expect mobile to be a major catalyst in FY23 with growth well into the double digits. Led by Apex Mobile, our newly updated FIFA mobile game, Golf Clash, and more unannounced projects, we are expanding our portfolio of more than 15 top mobile live services to reach new audiences and grow our recurring revenue. EA Sports is a powerhouse in the sports and entertainment world. We've driven hundreds
Espérenme, es que no quiero perderme nada de lo que digan.
with our EA Sports business up nearly 10% year over year. We continue to see incredible growth for the future of global soccer, and our global soccer franchise was the #1 title in the Western world in calendar 2021. Madden NFL 22 was the #1 sports title in the US during the holiday period, and it was the #3 top-selling game in the US for all of last year. Under our leadership, F1
Han hablado de los eSports, ¿vale?
well above expectations.
Que es algo en lo que quieren invertir más, en los eSports.
In our mobile sports portfolio, we just launched the latest version of our EA Sports FIFA mobile game around the world.
Vale, están hablando ahora de FIFA.
Update to the game ever, and early performance has been exceptional. Engagement is up more than 50% over the previous season, and retention in the first week is nearly double.
No han dicho fecha, tranquilos.
And a deep pipeline of new sports experiences in development.
Dijeron algo del tercer trimestre de este año, que pues, el lanzamiento global es a mitad de año. Eso entendía. Igual yo voy a ver la repetición.
In addition to our core franchises, we are building new experiences in some of the biggest enduring IP in entertainment. Last week, we announced a new agreement with Disney and Lucasfilm Games to develop new experiences in the Star Wars universe, continuing our collaboration of more than a decade. Respawn is leading development of the next game in our action-adventure Star Wars Jedi series, as well as 2 additional Star Wars titles. This adds to our deep pipeline of announced and unannounced projects with our wholly owned IP, including Need for Speed, our BioWare franchises, The Sims, Skate, dead space, and more. Looking ahead, we are continuing to build on the structural advantages of our portfolio and accelerating growth by executing against our core strategy. We are focused on creating amazing games and content, providing creation tools for the community to engage more deeply with our experiences, aggregating and distributing our content experiences to more players on more platforms in more geographies and more business models, and harnessing the power of the social ecosystems in and around our games. The demand for amazing games and new ways to play, watch, share, and create has never been stronger. And one of the industry's largest, most profitable businesses with strong recurring revenue, we are well positioned to take advantage of this continued secular growth. We look forward to delivering against these opportunities through FY23.
No, chicos, no se preocupen, no han dicho fechas. Solo dijeron que el Apex Legends Mobile, o lo que yo entendí, comenzaría a impactar en el tercer trimestre, financieramente, en la empresa. Eso entendí. Igual yo voy a ver la repetición para ver si me equivoqué o algo.
Underlying profitability and cash generation. Sales of Battlefield 2042 were disappointing, but they are offset by a strong showing from FIFA and continued strength from Apex and our other franchises. We delivered net revenue of $1.79 billion and net bookings of $2.58 billion. FIFA 22's strong start continued into this quarter, with unit sales now up double digits over last year, launch to date. And players continue to engage in FIFA Ultimate Team and invest in their teams. This has made it the strongest FIFA launch ever measured from launch to the end of Q3.
Están hablando de FIFA, de los eSports.
Net bookings continues to grow at an extraordinary rate and will deliver close to $1 billion for the year. Digital represents 64% of our full game units sold through on a trailing 12-month basis, up 2 percentage points from last year. The strong digital mix for full game sales, aided by growth in live services, pushed underlying Q3 gross margins 2.3 percentage points above last year. Operating expenses, which include recent acquisition costs, came in below our expectations, driven by variable compensation and savings and phasing of marketing spend. It's worth noting that we were able to hire more people than in any other quarter in our history, and we're continuing to invest in our game teams. We now expect fiscal 2022 GAAP net revenue to be $6.925 billion.
Bueno, están hablando de dinero ahora.
$0.844 billion. And earnings per share of $2.43, up from our original expectation of $1.34. We are taking our net bookings guidance for the year to $7.52 billion, although a $100 million reduction on our position at the end of Q2, it is still $225 million above our original guidance for the year. The reduction is driven by Battlefield 2042 in both Q3 and Q4, but offset by the strength in the rest of our business, particularly in FIFA and Apex Legends. We're committed to turning Battlefield around and building a sustainable live service, even as some of the actions we're taking, like moving the first season into FY23, impact net bookings for the short term. Reflecting the strength of our portfolio, our operating cash flow guidance is now $1.9 billion. This would be close to the largest full-year operating cash flow in the company's history, despite nearly $200 million of one-time tax payments related to acquisitions this year. With capital expenditure still around $200 million, that would deliver free cash flow of $1.7 billion.
No se preocupen, chicos, no han dicho fecha, ¿vale? Lo que dicen 2023 están locos. Han escuchado mal. Están hablando del año financiero del 2023.
For the fourth quarter, we expect GAAP net revenue of $1.759 billion, cost of revenue to be $404 million, and operating.
Están hablando del futuro, obviamente, de cómo va a ser el siguiente año financiero.
This results in an earnings per share of 46 cents for the fourth quarter. We expect Q4 fiscal 2022 net bookings to
Ok.
be 1.761 billion. This would be our largest Q4 ever.
Están hablando del cuarto trimestre del año fiscal 2022.
We will formally guide FY23 in May when we report Q4.
Pero para ellos el cuarto trimestre del 2022 inicia en abril, si no estoy mal.
Let me emphasize here again that we are a portfolio company. As originally forecast,
Los subtítulos están bugueados porque el señor habla como si tuviera algo en la boca. Yo que sé, no sé qué tiene en la boca ese señor que los subtítulos se buguean por eso.
5% of next year's. We're revising those numbers, but you can see it has little impact on FY23 growth. The main drivers of growth next year remain FIFA on console, Apex Legends, Apex Mobile, and FIFA Mobile.
Apex Mobile.
Clash will also contribute
Que lo digan otra vez, que lo repitan para que no se...
since we acquired Playdemic halfway through the year. With regard to new launches in
Nosotros nos alegramos, vale, cada vez que dicen Apex Mobile.
Speed is on the slate, and we'll announce more titles closer to the time. In total, we still expect mid to high single.
Pero no dijo nada, solo lo mencionó de que
To summarize, we just
va a impactar
delivered the
mucho en
largest quarter in the company's history.
los siguientes
FIFA
trimestres.
goes from strength to strength. Apex Legends continues to show extraordinary growth. Battlefield disappointed, but our
Perdón si no lo chat, chicos, porque ando concentrado tratando de entender.
from the impact of any one title. Our portfolio approach enables us to deliver double-digit organic growth this year and continue to deliver strong cash flow, and provides a strong foundation for growth.
Solo hablan de dinero. Esperemos que esto nos produzca mucho dinero. Esperemos de que esto...
Andrew,
Yo sí veo subtítulos en inglés, dice Rapo. Sí, pero no está tal cual lo que dicen. No es lo mismo. A veces muestran una palabra que nada que ver.
Chris is going to be a fabulous addition and will do a much better job probably than I've ever done. I thank Andrew and the team of our executives as well as the entire company for the amazing partnership that I've had here for 9.5 years at EA. It has been the most enjoyable experience of my entire career.
Está hablando de su experiencia.
I also thank the buy side and sell side analysts and partners for all of their support over the years. And
Papu, danos la fecha, danos la
And last
fecha.
but not least,
Danos la fecha de lanzamiento.
thank Chris Evenden, Aaron Ream, and Fabiola for their amazing IR performance that interacts with all of you. So now I'll hand the call back to Andrew.
Thank you, Blake.
Por fin se fue el señor que tenía algo en la boca.
Interactive entertainment continues to grow by every measure, and our audiences are expanding and diversifying. Major franchises are at the center of culture and entertainment, and the world is recognizing how games have the power to connect global communities. Our focus continues to be on our people, our players, and our amazing portfolio of games, content, and services, and extraordinary growth opportunities in the future. Thanks to our incredibly talented teams in Electronic Arts, we are delivering entertainment to hundreds of millions of people around the world and connecting them through some of the most powerful and enduring franchises. With the breadth and depth of our business that continues to expand our network, deepen engagement, and drive growth in our recurring net bookings and ongoing profitability, we are well positioned and strategically
Están como que autohalagándose que somos no sé qué, que ganamos mucho dinero, somos muy exitosos. Claro, como están enfrente de los inversores, tienen que hablar así.
Chris is coming to us after more than 25 years at Microsoft, where he served as Corporate Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of the Cloud and AI Group, which he led with incredible success during Microsoft's transformation to a cloud-first company. We have a big vision for the future, and in addition to Chris's financial leadership of our organization, I look forward to having him as a strategic partner with extensive experience driving scale and growth to help us achieve our goals. As we've announced previously, Blake will be leading our team.
A ver, ustedes que andan en el chat, ¿qué día creen que salga el lanzamiento suave? A ver, ¿será en febrero? ¿Será en marzo? Yo digo que febrero, pero díganme qué día. Hagan sus predicciones. Traten de predecir la fecha, a ver.
His expertise and the team he has built have been instrumental in our growth and financial achievements and have positioned us well for continued success. Blake will remain with us until the summer to assist with with the transition and
El 15 dice Santi.
Thank
Y
you
14 dice
for what you've
Hacker.
done and continue to do for our company.
Finales de febrero dice el Golden. Quinto dice el 18.
Now we're here for your questions.
Ahora vienen las preguntas,
As a
¿vale?
reminder, to ask a question, you will need to press star 1 on your telephone. To withdraw your
Yo como
question,
no
or
soy
if your
inversor, no
question has
puedo
been
hacer
answered,
preguntas,
press
¿vale?
pound or hash.
Si yo fuera
Your
millonario,
first question
les
comes
preguntaría de
from
una,
the
¿dónde
line
está el
of
Apes
Benjamin
Mobile?
from Deutsche Bank.
¿Cuándo
Your line
sale?
is
A ver,
open.
dígame lo que yo les doy, no sé cuántos
Hey guys,
millones.
Just quick thank you to Blake for being a great partner, and looking forward to meeting Chris. Two questions. So, first, just around Battlefield, can you guys sort of frame for us how you think about the vision for the future of that franchise? And
Este está preguntando por Battlefield, por la franquicia de Battlefield.
Thinking about expanding and adapting that franchise.
Que cómo lo ven en el futuro, que cómo lo van a trabajar.
Yeah, great question. Again, we have very bold vision for where this franchise goes. This franchise has always led the category in creativity, innovation, scale, gameplay, community. And as we came into launch, again, we had a very bold vision for this game. As it turns out, we've had some challenges, not least of all trying to build this game and file this game from home. And so our focus now is really making sure that core experience lives up to our fans and the community's expectations. Beyond that, we'll continue to invest and grow the franchise. We have great leadership with Vince.
Mañana no salen
from other great
el Apes.
shooters.
No sueñen, no soñemos.
Kind of leading the future. I believe that we're going to see this game
¡Ey! ¿Qué pasó?
do really well over the course of time. I think
Se le
we'll
cayó el
expand
internet al
the
señor,
ball,
creo
we'll
yo.
expand to other new and interesting ways to play. But certainly this is just a moment where we take a pause and do all that we can for the core game and the core
Este señor dijo un montón de cosas y a la vez no dijo nada sobre el Battlefield. Que tenemos una buena visión del juego, que no sé qué, que no sé qué. Pero estaba hablando de Battlefield, no se preocupen.
And if so, what are some of the potential pros and cons of that as a strategy? Thanks.
Yeah, the very strength of our business is our balanced portfolio.
¿Y qué pasa con la llamada, pues?
We have both a deep and a broad portfolio, and what we've demonstrated over the course of our, the best part of 40 years, is to really develop both our own IP over time, think Need for Speed, The Sims, Battlefield, Apex Legends, our BioWare franchises. We have Skate in development now, Dead Space on the way. So an incredible portfolio of owned IP that has an extraordinary following across the industry. Combined with other long-term, not just about licensing content. This is about working with over 300 partners across the various sports industries to deliver a true connection with the sports, the league.
Ey, ese men está en un búnker o qué? ¿Se le va la señal?
Franchise, again, a long-term relationship we've had with, and this is not
No sé qué pasa.
building, or revisiting things that already
Tanto dinero no puede tener un buen internet.
adding to that Star Wars universe and really delivering
Mira,
Star Wars
es la página de EA la que está fallando.
Star Wars content. And so as you think about our strategy going forward and the strength of our company, it really comes down to our ability to
Mira, también mencionan Star Wars, que también es
but also work with partners
son juegos que ellos tienen
truly deliver
los
fan
derechos
bases with
de juegos de Star Wars.
long and enduring fan bases like our sports franchises and like Disney.
Your next question comes from the line of Andrew Urikidis from Jefferies.
Anakin desde YouTube, sí, claro. Permítame preguntar. No, mentiras. Ojalá fuera yo a preguntar ahí.
Reiterate the positive sentiment from Blake. Blake has been a great run. Really enjoyed it. I guess I just had really one question, no follow-up. One of your bigger competitors was just taken out. You guys have quite the portfolio and have taken a portfolio approach for years. How do you think the industry will look in 3 or 4 years? Do you guys see yourself as a consolidator, a potential seller? How do you see this industry shaking out over the next 3 to 5 years?
¿Cómo ven la industria? Pregunta, en 3, 4 años. ¿Usted cree que la gente ve el futuro?
Gone out in search of the best teams in the industry to bring them into our company and build great entertainment for a global player base of what is now well over 500 million fans, is because we do believe in the power of entertainment. We do believe in the power of interactive entertainment. I think what we're seeing now in the marketplace is demonstrative of the value of what we do in particular. And so as I think about the future of the industry, I do believe that we will start to see talk about this, but when we think about our players and we think about the things that they engage in,
Qué mal servicio.
but they also consume, linear media and scripted entertainment and sports broadcast and music and other things. And so we are building strength in our core ability to deliver interactive entertainment to our fans, which we think will continue to grow well north of 1 billion fans over time. But we're also aware that our fans are expecting us to find entertainment.
Este prácticamente le está dando un pajazo mental al que preguntó. Que yo los conozco, esos son como vendedores. Cuando tú les preguntas de que eso sí funciona bien, pues claro, el vendedor te dice, no, claro, que no sé qué, claro. ¿Saben por qué tiene mala señal esto? Seguro andan por allá en una isla que compraron, por allá están acostados en la playa haciendo la llamada a la conferencia ya, con su señal satelital. Y Perión dice, Aimou parece no estar contento con lo que dijeron.
Your next question comes from the line of Mike Hickey from Benchmark. Your line is now open.
Pregunta sobre apps mobile.
Hey, Andrew, Blake, Chris, thanks for taking my questions, guys. And Blake, I'm going to miss you, bud. I'm sure you'll be getting a lot of skiing in now, so I'm not feeling sorry for you. But it's been great working with you. So.
¿Qué?
Question is, I guess on Battlefield, obviously, it's disappointed. Can you size the units you sold in the quarter? I think you guided for 12 or so, but just sort of curious where you ended up versus expectations. And then
ese tiene gripa, no sé.
That audience,
tiene Omicron.
There's been some ideas around free to play. Curious if that's a possibility. And then I didn't hear mobile. Did you drop mobile for Battlefield, or is that?
Está hablando de móvil, Battlefield Mobile, creo.
So Mike, thanks for your nice comments.
Está preguntando sobre Battlefield Mobile, creo.
Unfortunately, I'm sure I won't get as much skiing as I would like, but we're going to refrain from trying to give updates on units because we know that they're. Remember, Battlefield is less than 10% of our revenue, so I'm not sure what you would do with that. Clearly, we sold less units than we.
Escuchan cómo habla ese.
But what I would say is that remember these games are long tails, and so. Our goal is to add new content, new ways to play, new excitement, to stretch this out, and in some ways, we hope it benefits FY23 since we've had a pretty strong FY22, and so it helps us in the future. I'll let Andrew address, the second part of your question.
Yeah, so I think that, you remember coming into the launch, the demand metrics were very high. And so that, reaffirms for us that the core underlying creative for the game still has really strong demand around it. I think, as I've mentioned, we had some challenges around stability, particularly on high-end PC machines and performance. And there were some design decisions that, not all the community really agreed with. And so our focus right now is to really go back in and make sure we get that stuff right. And as much as I hate to admit it, DICE is a studio that has been able to do this a number of times now and really go back in, rebuild at the core and re-engage the community, as long as we do that in conjunction with the community. And that's what that studio is so great at doing. And so I think the combination of DICE with the new leadership and a strong vision for the future, we will build out the core, we will, re-engage the community, and we will manifest that demand that we saw coming into launch over the course of time. Mobile is still developing. The metrics are showing up really strong. I think right now we're looking at going to the next closed beta at the end of this month. And as is the case of mobile, we'll continue to tune and test in the environment.
Acaba de decir beta cerrada al final de este mes de Battlefield Mobile, creo. Eso entendí. Beta cerrada de Battlefield Mobile a final de este mes. Claro, a mí no me interesa tanto el Battlefield Mobile, pero lo digo por si alguno está interesado. Yo igual puedo probarlo. Podemos probarlo. Aunque vamos a estar tan ocupados con el Apex que no va a dar tiempo de jugar Battlefield.
Your next question comes from the line of Eric Handler from MKM Partners. Your line is now open.
Good afternoon, and thanks for the question. Andrew, I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about when you think about the expansion that's going on in the video games industry in the last year or so. I mean, we're seeing a lot of user-generated content and platforms around that start to proliferate. We've seen a lot of venture capital funding into blockchain, NFT gaming.
Blockchain. ¿Van a meter NFTs a los juegos o qué? O ya hay, no estoy seguro si ya hay en juegos de EA.
Once there's some established players there, and just want to get your mindset there.
I started this industry over 20 years ago. At that point in time, it was the fastest growing entertainment industry on the planet by a wide margin. I think it has been the fastest growing entertainment industry on the planet every year since then. But still, people seem to be surprised by this. So we're not surprised by it at all. And I think, as technology has continued to evolve, we have been able to deliver new and interesting and fun ways to engage with content. And what we've seen more recently is just how powerful the social ecosystems, the social networks born out of engagement in our games truly are. And these are it's not now just about ingesting entertainment in the same way you do traditional scripted media or traditional broadcast or traditional music. This is about experiencing entertainment with your friends. And that's unbelievably powerful. I think that has been really the fuel that has driven the growth in recent time. As part of that, of course, the ability to create your own content and put it into that ecosystem has become a really valuable part of what our industry offers to our players and our fans that traditional media just doesn't. And this is something that we hold true. Again, it's been at the very center of The Sims for a long time. It's at the very center of modes like FIFA Ultimate Team and Madden Ultimate Team. It's at the very center of
blah, 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 blah.
And so this concept of you.
Mira, ya se les cayó la señal. Todavía no han preguntado a alguien. Al inicio mencionaron Apex Mobile y ahorita les hago un recuento de lo que dijeron. No era tanto importante, pero... Y ahora están en la parte de preguntas y hasta ahorita nadie ha preguntado sobre Apex Mobile. Hey, ¿qué pasa?
Around the NFT and where VCs are investing, again, we see this also happen in our industry. We saw it with 3D, we saw it with AR, VR. There's always something in and around our industry that is driving a lot of external investment. The way I look at this is collectability is really built on 4 key metrics.
Está muy mala la señal que tienen ellos. Así es, chicos, esperemos a que alguien haga una pregunta sobre Apex Mobile o que extiendan un poco lo que dijeron sobre Apex Mobile.
And we've seen that, happen in the real world, and we've seen that happen in the virtual world. We've certainly seen that happen. And I believe that collectability will continue to be an important part of, our industry and the games and experiences that we offer our players. Whether that's as part of NFT and the blockchain, we'll deliver the best possible player experience we can. And so we'll evaluate that over time, but right now it's not something.
Thank you very much.
¿Soy yo o lo cortó así de una? Lo cortó a la fuerza. Me
Hey,
pareció a mí.
Andrew and Blake, absolute best of luck to you in your future endeavors. I guess two questions. First for
Modo
me,
Latán en
just
clases
talk
en
about,
línea, dice Killer Boy.
in the back half of that's partially offset by strength in FIFA, Apex, and others. With FIFA in particular, I guess you talked a lot about kind of you felt about or are feeling about your Ultimate Team and the live services component into the. I guess it's the first question.
Pero
Second
Apex
question,
Mobile, pregunta sobre Apex Mobile.
Curious, coming back to mobile and maybe some
Mobile.
acquisitions. Kind of curious if you could talk a little bit about how you're thinking about advertising. I know it's come up a bit. Other companies might get advertising. Glue brings.
Puta señal, loco.
You're thinking about advertising. Curious how you're thinking about the Glue pipeline. Almost a year into that deal. And then also when we might start to hear a little more about kind of what your plans are with Metalhead and Super Mega Baseball. Thanks, guys.
Preguntó
I'll start on the live service piece,
de la...
and then I'll let Andrew hit the second question.
Vale, esperen,
live
que va.
service growth in %, and trailing 12 months is 21%, and that's across all of our live services. And so if you look at something like Apex or FIFA, they're clearly well north of that. And we've seen one of the cores of our business because it is reoccurring and highly dependent on the social networks that we've created in our game.
Están diciendo que FIFA y Apex son los mayores,
Those are evergreen networks that continue.
en otras palabras, los mejores juegos que tienen ellos ahorita, los que le mueven más gente.
Are exceptional, up well over last year. You look at the Apex numbers as we reported.
Y el tipo preguntó, este está respondiendo, pero el otro que preguntó algo sobre, tiene curiosidad sobre cómo van a hacer la publicidad y expandir su público en el móvil y todo eso.
Large number of new players into the game, retained players, and continue to come up with amazing and unique play. So we're very excited about how that continues, and it continues across all of our sports, and we're looking as to how do we do that across more and more games going forward.
Ese es el señor que tiene un buñuelo en la boca. Está comiendo.
Again, we are working closely with Glue. It's still relatively early days, with the acquisition for both them and Playdemic. And we're working both on bolstering our existing 15 live services and building out new ones. And as per my prepared remarks, we're projecting well into double-digit growth next year. And that includes Apex Mobile and a renewed FIFA Mobile and a full year of Golf Clash and ongoing growth across the portfolio. And we're excited about that. With respect to advertising specifically, we are taking the Glue advertising stack and applying it across our games. And it's a little early to know just yet exactly how that will manifest, but based on what we're seeing across the industry, we expect that represents some revenue growth there also. So overall, mobile now really is a strength of ours. It's a very important part of how we drive growth in the business, both in our existing games, in our new launches, and with the potential of mobile advertising across the portfolio.
Your next question comes from the line of Drew Cross.
Ok, mencionó algo sobre Apex Mobile, pero nada importante sobre la publicidad.
Curious as to your thoughts on where the business is in terms of engagement normalizing. Is the reopening headwind behind you, or is this something we should anticipate in calendar 22? Is it contemplated in your fiscal 23 net bookings forecast? And then separately, your OPEX growth year to date is approaching 30% year on year. Should we see that slow materially once you start the anniversary acquisitions, or how should we be thinking about OPEX going forward? Thanks.
Yeah, I can take the OPEX question quickly, Drew. I mean, clearly most of that was driven by two things. One is our acquisitions, probably the biggest driver of it, but second is...
¿Ustedes se imaginan donde iba a hablar así como este señor?
We've used this is opportunity.
Sería un directo para dormir.
Questions in the gamer community about which companies are going to.
¿Saben cómo habla? Como cuando te obligan a hablar tu papá o algo así.
So I think remember our OPEX really comes down to two things: headcount and marketing expense. So the marketing expense will swing by the titles that are in any one year, but we're pretty good at managing that. And the headcount we're also very good at managing. And so I don't think you're going to see a jump like we've seen this past year. But remember, even with the OPEX growth that you see, look at the Q3 EPS numbers.
Saludos a los de Trovo, Saludos a Santi, a Javierto, Razor, Polarcito. Saludos, brother. Killer Boy también, saludos. Galvez, Bebetron.
We didn't originally plan. And so we were a pretty flexible organization to be able to try to manage that to keep margins going. And so I think you'll see that going forward.
On engagement, through or post-COVID, depending on how you think about it, I think we've been on a rolling situation around the world of kind of coming back and, shutting down a little and coming back. Broadly speaking, though, much of the world is out and about. They're at sporting events. They're going to theme parks. They're watching movies. They're going to dinner. So much of the world has returned mostly to normal at this juncture by our calculation. Even as part of that, we've seen, not only number of players grow, again, over 540 million people now in our network, but we've also seen time spent in our games grow by over 20%. And I kind of look to that as not just about creating amazing games and entertainment,
Eso no.
but it is the social interaction. I think what COVID has taught us is that games are a great way, not just to get our entertainment fix, to remain deeply connected with our friends.
Gracias por ese mana, Racket.
And what we're seeing now, I believe, is actually the long-term effect of the discovery of not just the value of what we do in terms of entertainment, but also the value.
Carlos 112, un saludito, bienvenido. Bueno, mientras no hablan de Apes Mobile, vamos a saludar a los que siguen en Trovo, porque ¿quién más siguió? El Dirán Cabros. Saluditos, bro.
Your next question comes from
Vale, siguiente pregunta.
From Citi. Your line is
Del Jesus.
Thanks. I think it's a little bit early to talk about this.
Jesus, sálvanos, por favor, pregunta por Apes Mobile.
How you're thinking about your business and strategy as it relates to the metaverse as that becomes more real. Is that something that you view as just another opportunity for you to engage your fans? Is it a battle about time spent? Does it potentially sort of change industry sort of rev shares, or is it just sort of a non-event and you guys think you can sort of continue to focus on your IP and engagement and
No entendí un carajo lo que digo.
Yeah, I mean, a great question.
¿Puedes repetir su pregunta, por favor?
Is kind of the topic du jour at the moment, and many people are talking about it in different contexts, quite frankly. At the end of the day, the metaverse is a three-dimensional social space where you come together to experience things with your friends. And for now, much of that happens.
Bienvenido, Peppy Fake.
Around the social networks that we see, but I would tell you a lot of that happens in the context of our games. And as I look at the nature of our games and I look at the engagement that we're seeing inside these 3D spaces that we create in and around sports and other worlds,
Este men bugueó los subtítulos, ya no salen.
With our industry is the beginnings of what a metaverse might be. And over the course of time, you should expect us to continue to expand and extend the world that we have been creating for the last 30 years and deliver more experiences beyond the core conceit of the
Mira,
game.
se cayó la señal otra vez.
What were you doing FIFA beyond playing football? What were you doing Need for Speed beyond driving a game? What will you do in The Sims as you come together with your friends beyond the creation of content? And you'll see that continue to evolve for us over the course of time. And I don't know ultimately what the metaverse will become, but what I do know is that the games we create are becoming more important as social spaces than they are just as places to enjoy great entertainment. As we continue to build out those experiences, as whatever the metaverse becomes, it's an almost certainty that we will play a very important role in it, and that our players will be on the leading edge of the evolution of what these spaces might become.
Siguiente pregunta, por favor.
Your next question comes from the line of Mike Ginal from Goldman Sachs. Your line is now open.
Esos preguntaron la vez pasada por Apex.
Question. I just have two. First, I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about EA Play. You know, where are we with EA Play subscribers today, and how do you see the outlook for video game subscription services changing, particularly with recent consolidation? And then second, it was encouraging to hear the reiteration of the mid to high single-digit top-line growth for next year. I was just wondering if you could go a little bit more in detail around some of the drivers. You know, what do you see driving some of the FIFA strength, and are there new games or unannounced titles embedded in that outlook? Thank you very much.
No preguntó nada, Luke. Nada de Apex Mobile.
Component, and then I'll let Blake talk about
F.
the mid to high single digit growth. EA Play continues to grow for us.
Me has decepcionado, Mike.
It's a really, really positive consumer experience. We're getting access to some of the greatest content in the industry. What we see more broadly across entertainment is that subscription continues to be a core driver, and that what we're able to do is drive ongoing engagement, perhaps in a way even that's stronger than traditional linear or scripted entertainment. I think that we will continue to see consumers engage in our content through subscription, and we'll continue to provide our content that way, and I think we'll start to see more and more growth across platform, and we continue to be, the leading provider.
Espero que falten varios por preguntar,
Across platforms in our industry, and with the depth and breadth of our portfolio.
porque estas llamadas suelen durar 1 hora y ya vamos en 47 minutos. Espero que todavía falte gente por preguntar y que pregunten por Apex Mobile. Tengamos esperanza. Tengamos fe. Chicos, los sonidos están muteados, ¿vale? Para poder escuchar bien la llamada. No se gasten los puntos ahorita. Guarden los puntos. Los de Trovo.
The keys to driving growth are obviously our core portfolio, things like FIFA, for example, and live services associated with it, Madden, hockey, other sports. Apex Legends obviously has continued to evolve and shown amazing growth. We will have an Apex Legends mobile game in the market. We don't know exactly what time that will be, and there will be a global build for that game as well as a Chinese build for that game. And we're working with a partner there, and things are going very
¿Soy yo o preguntó por Apex Mobile Global? Escuchemos bien la respuesta, a ver.
We will have more growth, we think, out of the FIFA mobile game that we just put into the market. And remember that we only had booked really a half of year of Playdemic's Golf Clash game. We'll have a full year of that next year. And we're working with Playdemic on how they can take that Clash mechanic into other sports areas where we have licenses already.
Ah, bueno, ese es el que está respondiendo. Yo me confundí, pensé que estaba preguntando.
And there are 3 or 4 more things that we haven't announced yet, but you can imagine we are always trying to find ways to grow the portfolio year over year through new titles, new IP, and expansion, and as well acquisitions, which right now we're in the digest mode, but doesn't mean that we won't keep looking at everything going forward. So we're excited about next year. It looks like a strong year to come, and as Andrew said, we know that this is one of the greatest entertainment vehicles in the world right now, and so we're really in the sweet spot, and that's what gets us excited about it.
Great. Thank you both. That was incredibly helpful. And Blake, best of luck in your next chapter.
Thank you.
Your next question comes from the line of Mario Lu from Barclays.
Vamos, Mario. Confío en ti, papu.
Great. Thanks for taking the questions.
Directo.
Blake, it's been a pleasure interacting with you over the years.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I guess the first question is more high level. You guys said in your slides, spending playing time is increased 20% this quarter compared to the year prior. What was the largest driver of that, and I don't know if you have this data, but what's the typical lag historically between growth in time spent and monetization? And then secondly, you guys didn't really talk about Madden as much on this call, so just
¿Cuál Madden? ¿A quién le importa Madden? Queremos Apex.
Like a FIFA, are things like preview packs and FIFA kind of driving the growth here? Anything out of Madden that you can talk about? Thanks.
So let me start with Madden. Madden is also having a great year, and we're seeing tremendous
Sí,
growth.
Mario.
And for all of you who follow the season, this has been an unbelievably exciting.
Saludos para la gente de YouTube, todos los que andan en YouTube. Cristiano, Luis Enrique, Pablo, Giori, Luis, Héctor Alonso, Jefferson, Star Fox Gaming, saludos. Los invito a Trovo, ¿vale? Ahí estoy leyendo el chat principalmente. Y estamos haciendo directos casi diarios en Trovo. El enlace está en la descripción.
With respect to what drove engagement, again, we have this great portfolio, and while we certainly saw extraordinary growth in Apex Legends,
Para que estén tranquilos, no han dicho fecha, ¿vale? No han dicho fecha, nada importante sobre el Apex Mobile.
Apex was 30%, FIFA was our EA Sports portfolio was up 10% on what is a very big number. But, we've seen growth across the portfolio, and that speaks to the value of the breadth and the depth of our portfolio. In terms of lag between engagement and monetization growth, which I think was one.
Bienvenido King Dark a Trovo. Bienvenido al mítico Crazy también. Bueno, el King Dark también, saludos.
And ensure that they're always providing new and interesting content. And what we know about all of our communities they play is they make a choice of do they want to invest more time or do they want to invest more money in the experience. And it's really the ability to build that balanced ecosystem that speaks to the strength of our live services over time. And so it's a very symbiotic relationship that happens between the investment of time and the investment of money over the course of the experience. And our teams have become very, very good at that and work very, very closely with their communities to drive it.
Yeah, and one thing I just remind everybody, and we may have already said this, but I'll say it again. We shipped last year FIFA in the third quarter. Due to the pandemic, we delayed it 3 weeks and moved it into the third quarter. We shipped it this year in the second quarter. So when you look at the growth of the third quarter, knowing that didn't include the initial ship-in of FIFA, it's almost hard to believe the strength of the business. And so I just want people not to forget that. And we're not going to provide numbers or details around that exactly, but just know that to see the growth that we saw after having moved it back to the second quarter, it's pretty impressive.
Very helpful. Thank you.
A ver si preguntan de Apex, por favor.
From the line of Andrew Marrock from Raymond James. Your line is now open.
Vamos, Andrew.
Thanks for taking my questions, and wanted to pass my best wishes on to Blake as well. On Apex Legends, so Season 12 seems like a more substantial content drop than a typical season. So whether it's amount of content or type of content, is there anything that particularly stands out as a driver for new player acquisition and engagement, whether it's game modes, new maps, or things like that? And then second, on FIFA, around the growth in unit sales year over year.
Vale, preguntó del Apex normal, el de PC de consolas. Que cómo van a manejar el contenido, qué tipo de contenido planean añadir, nuevos mapas, modos. Pero de la versión de PC, no la mobile.
As the teams put together these seasons of content and they think about new content and new modalities of play and new ways to connect, remember, Apex is now well over 100 million players, and so there's no one-size-fits-all component that really attracts new players or engages any broad group of players deeply. I think what the Respawn team and the Apex team in particular have been able to demonstrate is they work very closely with their community, they're deeply engaged with their community, and they're delivering content, modalities of play, maps, these things that really speak to what the community are asking for and need. And what we've seen since the very beginning of the launch of this
Hice una
game
pregunta muy
is
tonta,
them
la
being
verdad,
able
del
to
main.
work in a very calculated
Es algo
way
que ya se
around
sabe.
the delivery of really interesting new content, new maps, and new modes of play.
Pues obvio que tienen que añadir nuevos
That has
mapas y
continued to
modos.
grow the
Eso
overall
es
player base,
obvio.
continue to grow the overall experience, continue to grow the engagement that player base has with the experience, and the investment those players are making as part of their engagement. And so we're very excited about that. And then with respect to FIFA, again, this is another team that has demonstrated the power of working very closely with the community in and around, a live service. Football, or soccer as we call it in this country, continues to grow. The leagues, the teams, the players are going from strength to strength in popularity. We have over 300 licenses in the game and 300 partners that we work with in the provision of what is a growing, broadening, deepening experience for our player base. And as the world of football grows, as we build our fan base, again, if you think about the fan base we have for our product or our service, it's the largest digital football club in the world.
No te gastes los puntos, Polar. Están muteados los sonidos por ahora.
Very close with that fan base around their ability to experience football in a way that's most meaningful to them, around their leagues, around their teams, around the players they love. And the reason we're able to continue to drive growth in and around that franchise is because we do work very closely with our global community of fans, and we are delivering them, again, content, gameplay, modalities of play that is most interesting and most exciting to them and connects them most deeply with the sport they love and the fans they love it with.
Thank you.
Your next question comes from the line of Doug Creutz from Cowen. Your line is now open.
Hey, thank you. Paramount Plus dropped a pretty expensive-looking Halo trailer over the weekend, and Netflix has had some success with The Witcher and League of Legends on their streaming service. There's absolutely ravenous demand for content right now from a half a dozen or so streaming services, and you guys have some IP, particularly within BioWare, that I think would be pretty
Ese hablando de League of Legends.
As a basis for a show. Are we finally at a point where video game IP has some meaningful transmedia opportunities, or do you think that's still more a theory than a reality?
No, I think what, based on exactly what you just said and what we've experienced, there's, video game IP or interactive entertainment IP is now some of the most culturally relevant IP in all of entertainment. And I think that's going to continue to grow when you think about
Gracias, Chavo, por ese maná.
hundreds of millions of fans engaging in and around the IP we create, like Apex, like The Sims, like Need for Speed, like our BioWare franchises, like Dead Space, like Skate. It's not unnatural for that to spawn kind of a scripted entertainment element. I think traditionally the scripted entertainment elements in our industry have not been big revenue drivers in and of
Gracias, Jorge, por el maná. Gracias, Razor.
Been of high quality that have lifted the overall engagement of the franchise more deeply. So there's kind of a 1-2 punch that drives growth in the business. I think as we think about our future, we do believe that this thing that we do that is interactive entertainment is becoming more and more important on a daily basis to all fans.
Ya van a ver, dentro de un año, te la van a pasar hablando de Apps Mobile porque es el que le va a dar más dinero, más que el Apps de PC. Se van a acordar de mí. Ahorita lo mencionaron un par de veces nomás, nada importante. Se la pasaron hablando de Apps Legends, de FIFA, de Madden. ¿Qué carajos le importa Madden aquí?
Thanks, Doug. Look, everyone, that's the last question. I appreciate everyone's very kind words, and I'll be around for a while and make sure that we get our new CFO fully on board, and as I said, he'll do much better than me. So everyone stay healthy, and we look forward to talking to you next quarter.
Se están despidiendo, creo.
This concludes today's conference call. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.
Bueno. Ok. Que nos vemos en el siguiente trimestre, dijeron. Qué mal servicio, JPG. Bueno, para resumirles, lo único que dijeron de Apps Mobile es al inicio. Venga, vamos a mutear esto. Adiós. Al inicio nomás dijeron que pues que estaban trabajando en expandir su público. Ya saben cómo hablan los vendedores, en expandir su público. Y que por eso hicieron el Apex Legends Mobile. Que
están ahí, por favor, hablen, carajo. ¡Empiecen a escribir, coño!
¿Por qué mierda salió eso si yo lo tengo desactivado? ¿Cómo carajo salió eso? A la mierda. Bueno. Les venía diciendo que lo único que dijeron fue eso, cosas de vendedores, que Apex Legends Mobile se espera que impacte muy fuerte en el siguiente año fiscal del 2023. Ojo con eso. La gente cree que es el otro año calendario 2023. No, para ellos el año fiscal 2023 comienza creo que a mitad de año, si no estoy mal. O sea que para esos meses comienza a impactar en las cuentas de ellos. Pero pues obviamente el lanzamiento suave, esperemos que sea en febrero. Yo espero que sea en febrero. Yo no sé ustedes. Como muchos siendo pesimistas en marzo, ¿vale? Ese miedo se bugueó, loco. Se bugueó estas alertas. Vale. A más tardar en marzo, ¿vale? Y pues nada, eso es lo único que dijeron de Apex Mobile. Si estoy mal, pues voy a ver la repetición. Voy a ver qué dicen los gringos, a ver si hay algo que me perdí, yo qué sé. Así que ahí nos vemos, les estaré comentando. Veré si vale la pena hacer un resumen en video. Si no vale la pena, pues simplemente les haré una publicación y ya. Y pues eso. Esperen el video o esperen la publicación. Síganme en Twitter, síganme en Trovo. Y nos vemos, papus. Yo me despido. Muchas gracias a los que se pasaron de YouTube para Trovo. Se los agradezco un montonazo. Por ahí hago directos. Por ahora no tan diario, pero sí más o menos día por medio.
¡Hablen, carajo! ¡Empiecen a escribir, coño!
No sé cómo carajos mutear eso, loco. Vale. Ahora sí me despido, chicos. Un saludito a todos los que andan en Trovo, a JK Alex, a By Kevin, que también se pasó de YouTube, a Quinto, al Polar que andaba por ahí, moderador, a primera persona, muchas gracias por esos 5 delitos, por esa rosa, primera persona, un saludito, brother. Para los que no sepan, primera persona también es creador de contenido de Apex Mobile, de otros juegos móviles también. Razor, un saludito, brother. Saluditos a Quinto, saluditos a todos, papus. A todos los que estuvieron en el directo en Trovo y en YouTube también. Un saludo a todos. Ahí estamos viéndonos. No sé qué carajos le pasó a las alertas, según yo las había muteado. Y ahí están. Bye bye. Que nos van a spamear aquí a sonidos. Adiós, que esto se salió de control.